get maybe misused by many people? Yes, but now is the time to really align to the truth, because here's the thing. There are words, but then there is vibration, and the truth will always come to the vibration. We are energetic beings. And because we are energetic beings, and because we're on the path of allowing ourselves to really listen to our energy and what our body and the vibration of things in our existence, that is where our truth is. So no matter who it is speaking the words, you need to ask yourself, is this in alignment to my truth, to my light? So resistance comes from belief systems that are passed down and passed down and passed down. And I promise you that there are things in your life that you are resisting. But I do promise you that you are not being, there's not some higher, energy trying to suppress you. There is not, God isn't trying to have you suffer so that you can appreciate more. Now that may be what happens, but really it comes down to your level of resistance of what you called forth into this reality. We also often have our mind feed us a story that is just not true, So ego has a purpose, but its purpose is not to prevent us from the flow of life, right? It is not meant to prevent us from the flow of who we are, to suppress our divine light. So again, there's not an energy inside you trying to suppress you. There is just old belief systems that you have adapted into your being that needs to be transmuted and released. Many people on this spiritual journey, and I'm included, have been very dedicated to the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is very real, right? But here is one thing that we need to, in our deeper awakening during this very beautiful transformational time, is that are you truly working in the law of attraction like you always are, but are you truly are you being a conscious creator, in which we spoke about last week? So what I mean is, oftentimes we abandon certain thoughts and certain guidance because it doesn't feel comfortable. So I used to go by, that doesn't feel, this makes me fearful. I'm going to distract myself. But really, that sense of fear is not coming from anything other than yourself. I want you to reflect on those moments when something comes up and it activates fear and worry, because you have to remember. And I say remember because in your essence, in your soul, in your light, when you sit with it, this will deeply resonate with you because it is your truth. I want you to reflect when you have an emotion of worry, fear, anger, whatever it may be. I want you to really just be still with it, because you will find that the only one that's responsible for this emotion and this energy around it comes down to you, because you know this in your existence. You know that there are people who are afraid of certain things that just don't bother you, right? Likewise, there are things that you are afraid of where other people are like, well, why are you afraid of? I mean, the obvious, really easy ones to really grasp and understand are things like afraid of flying, afraid of spiders. If we can go to those type of areas just to grasp the understanding that it's very apparent in those situations that something has been passed down to them, right? There is some either past life or something happened to a relative. There is something very obvious that is out of alignment, that is not coming from truth, right? So that's a good place to go for you to understand what I'm saying. So really the energy around things that activate fear and worry, which is resistance, is really being created from you. Now, I say this not to put you in a state of guilt, because we are all walking this human journey, and we are all walking with DNA from our ancestors, all the way down to the point from where we were created as one, where we came from one human, but then one source. So because we came from one source, so even if we have to go all the way down, generation to generation to generation, until we come closer to be blood relatives, right? Closer to be from the same family. And then we have to ultimately understand that before human, we were light, right? So the reason why I say this is part of the transmuting of it. So even if you have to go transmute energy all the way down your ancestral line, the point is that it came from somewhere. It came from ego. It came from a human, an experience that someone down the line had, or you had in a past life. Doesn't even matter, because when you get down to it, it started somewhere, but in our true essence, it wasn't there, right? So we need to recognize that any resistance that you're having is not coming from a power here to curse you. How many people have felt that sometimes on their journey? Like, oh my God, I'll tell you, I have, because what I was experiencing was so out there that it had to be a curse. I mean, really, I really had a moment in my darkness where I really felt like I was cursed. Now, not in a million years would I look back and be like, oh my gosh, if that didn't happen, I would never have known. I never would have been awakened. So some things you're not aware of until you journey through it. But of course, was there a point in my journey where I had to release the resistance to what was in my experience? Yes. Was there a point of realization that that resistance really came from the energy of my ego, which fed it lies and made it bigger, so I resisted it more and more? Absolutely. So am I going to say it's not going to be comfortable? But the only reason why it's not going to be comfortable is because of the resistance. And the only reason why there's resistance is because of a belief you have around it. And that's okay. In fact, in those moments, you should never feel guilty. And don't feel guilty if you felt guilty in the past. But you should never feel guilty. In fact, you should celebrate. You should rejoice. Because in that awareness, when you have those moments, and let me know if you've had this before, when you have that moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I have been repeating a pattern